We'll go on the record. This is a deposition of Anthony Bernal conducted by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform under the authority granted to it pursuant to House Rule 10. Accordingly, House Rule 10 grants the committee broad jurisdiction for the committee to conduct investigations of any matter at any time. The committee noticed today's deposition on July 11th, 2025. I will mark the notice for this deposition as Exhibit 1. Can the witness please state his name and spell his last name for the record?
Anthony Bernal, B-E-R-N-A-L.
Thank you. My name is Jake Greenberg, and I am the Chief Counsel for Investigations for Chairman James Comer. Under the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform's rules, you are allowed to have counsel present to advise you during this deposition. Do you have counsel representing you in a personal capacity present with you today? Will counsel please identify themselves for the record?
Jonathan Sue on behalf of Mr. Bernal.
Margaret Hines on behalf of Mr. Bernal.
Thank you. For the record, starting with the majority staff, can the additional staff members please introduce themselves with their name, title, and affiliation?
Margaret Harker, Senior Advisor for the majority.
Mitch Benzine, General Counsel for the majority.
Ellison Tolan, Counsel for the majority. Sharon Newt, Senior Professional Staff for the majority.
Mark Moran, Staff Director for the majority. Charles Tornek, Law Clerk, majority.
Billy Grant, Counsel for the majority. Peter Spector, Professional Staff Member for the majority.
Melvin Soto, Digital Director for the majority.
Valerie Kovar, Chief Clerk for the majority.
Scott Manager, Intern for the majority.
In the minority? Thank you all. And the members in the room, will you identify yourselves, please?
James Comer, Chairman, House Oversight Committee.
Pete Sessions, Chairman, Government Operations and Federal Workforce.
Thank you all. In this Congress, Chairman Comer initially requested a voluntary interview of Mr. Bernal on May 22nd, 2025, as part of the committee's investigation into President Biden's alleged mental and physical decline, the Biden White House's efforts to hide that from the American people, and any unauthorized executive actions. The committee is considering legislative solutions to address these issues, including exercising its authority under the 25th Amendment to the Constitution. I will enter the initial request by Chairman Comer as Exhibit 2. On June 6, 2025, counsel for Mr. Bernal confirmed with the Oversight Committee that Mr. Bernal would sit for a transcribed interview on June 26th. On June 25th, counsel for Mr. Bernal informed the committee Mr. Bernal would not attend the transcribed interview scheduled for the next day. On June 26th, Chairman Comer issued a subpoena for Mr. Bernal to appear for this deposition. I will mark both the subpoena and the accompanying cover letter to Mr. Bernal as Exhibit 3. Mr. Bernal, before we begin, I would like to go over the ground rules for this deposition. The questioning will proceed in rounds. The majority will ask questions for an hour, and then the minority will have an opportunity to ask questions for an hour if they choose. To the extent members have questions for the witness, they will be propounded during their side's respective rounds. Do you understand? Can you please speak up? Thank you. The clock will stop if you need to confer with counsel. Your counsel is speaking, and when members or staff are speaking during the opposing side's round of questions. We will alternate back and forth until there are no more questions. Do you understand?
Yes.
There's a court reporter taking down everything I say and everything you say to make a written record of the interview. For the record to be clear, please wait until the staffer questioning you finishes each question before you begin your answer. And the staffer will wait until you finish your response before proceeding to the next question. Further, to ensure the court reporter can properly record this deposition, please speak clearly, concisely, and slowly. Also, the court reporter cannot record nonverbal answers such as nodding or shaking your head, so it is important that you answer each question with an audible verbal answer. Do you understand?
Yes.
Exhibits may be entered into the record. Majority exhibits will be identified numerically. Minority exhibits will be identified alphabetically. Do you understand?
Yes.
We want you to answer our questions in the most complete and truthful manner possible, so we will take our time. If you have any questions or do not fully understand the question, please let us know, and we will attempt to clarify, add context to, or rephrase our questions. Do you understand?
Yes.
If we ask about specific conversations or events in the past and you are unable to recall the exact words or details, you should testify to the substance of those conversations or events to the best of your recollection. If you recall only a part of a conversation or event, you should give us your best recollection of those events or parts of conversations that you do recall. Do you understand?
Yes.
You are required by law to answer questions from Congress truthfully. This also applies to questions posed by congressional staff in this deposition. Do you understand?
Yes.
If at any time you knowingly make false statements, you could be subject to criminal prosecution, including but not limited to perjury. Do you understand?
Yes.
This includes both knowingly providing false testimony, but also stating that you do not recall or remember something when in fact you do. Do you understand?
Yes.
Furthermore, you cannot tell half-truths or exclude information necessary to make statements accurate. You are required to provide all information that would make your response truthful. A deliberate failure to disclose information can constitute a false statement. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is there any reason you are unable to provide truthful testimony in today's interview?
No.
Please note that if you wish to assert a privilege over any statement today, that assertion must comply with the rules of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Pursuant to that, Committee Rule 16C1 states for the chair to consider assertions of privilege over testimony or statements, witnesses or entities must clearly state the specific privilege being asserted and the reason for the assertion on or before the scheduled date of testimony or appearance. I will enter as Exhibit 4 a letter dated June 24th, 2025, to your counsel from Gary Lakowski, Deputy Counsel to President Trump, informing you that President Trump has determined not to assert executive privilege over issues regarding your assessment of former President Biden's fitness for the office of the president and your knowledge of who exercised executive powers during his administration. Additionally, President Trump has determined that he will not assert immunity to preclude you from testifying before the committee. For the purposes of the deposition, objections must be stated concisely and in a non-argumentative and non-suggestive manner. If the witness refuses to answer a question to preserve a privilege, the committee may seek a ruling from the chair. If the committee overrules any such objection, the witness shall be ordered to answer. If the witness continues to refuse to answer a question despite being ordered to do so, the witness may be subject to sanction. Do you understand?
Yes.
Ordinarily, we take a 5-minute break at the end of each hour of questioning, but if you need a longer break or a break before that, please let us know and we will be happy to accommodate. However, to the extent that there is a pending question, we would ask that you finish answering the question before we take a break. Do you understand?
Yes.
Finally, I will note for everyone here today that the contents of what we discuss in the deposition today is confidential under the House deposition regulations. Under the rules, the chairman and ranking minority member shall consult before any release of testimony or transcripts, including portions thereof. This means it is a violation of House and committee rules to disclose content of the deposition prior to its official release. For this reason, the marked exhibits that we will use today will remain with the court reporter so they can go into the official transcript, and any copies of those exhibits will be kept at the table or returned to us when we wrap up. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No.
Jake, I have a question. Are we afforded the opportunity to make an opening statement?
No, not today. Can the reporter please swear in the witness?
Sure. Sir, would you please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly declare and affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, my clock reads 10:10. The majority's hour will begin now. Mr. Bernal, did you ever advise President Joe Biden to pardon his son, Hunter Biden?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Thank you. We're going to go off the record real quick. Okay, we'll go back on the record. Mr. Bernal, was President Joe Biden fit to exercise the duties of the president?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Bernal has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Mr. Bernal, please be very clear are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Mr. Bernal, did any unelected official or family member of President Joe Biden execute the duties of the presidency?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Bernal has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Mr. Bernal, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Mr. Bernal, did President Joe Biden ever instruct you to lie regarding his health at any time, including but not limited in your testimony to Congress today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Bernal has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Mr. Bernal, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Mr. Bernal, is it your intention to decline to answer all questions put to you today by the committee on the basis of the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination?
I can represent that that is his intention.
Thank you. Does the minority wish to ask questions?
Yes, we do.
Go off the record.
All right, we're back on the record. Would the members who just came into the room identify themselves, starting with Mr. Donald?
Myron Donalds, Member of Congress, Florida's 19th District.
And Jasmine Crockett, Texas 30.
Mr. Bernal, good morning. Mr. Sue, you weren't afforded the opportunity to make a statement by the majority. Would you like to make that statement now?
Yes, thanks very much. Chairman Comer, Ranking Member Garcia, and members of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Mr. Bernal appears before you today fulfilling his obligations to the committee. An Arizona native, Mr. Bernal has served with distinction in 3 presidential administrations, most recently as Assistant to the President and Chief of Staff to the First Lady. Mr. Bernal is rightfully proud of his service to the nation. The committee has sought testimony from Mr. Bernal for nearly 2 years without any actual evidence of wrongdoing by Mr. Bernal. Most recently, the committee seeks Mr. Bernal's testimony based on a purported controversy regarding the use of the Autopen at the conclusion of President Biden's term. President Biden has already confirmed that he personally made all decisions concerning his grants of clemency. While the committee only recently began its Autopen investigation, the chairman has already declared that this matter is, quote, the biggest scandal in Oval Office history, end quote. In addition, on June 4th, 2025, the White House directed the Department of Justice to open a criminal investigation into this matter. The chairman has acknowledged that, quote, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced an investigation at the Department of Justice, so we're very interested, end quote. Under these circumstances, it is entirely appropriate and justified for Mr. Bernal to invoke his rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. In Ohio v. Reiner, the U.S. Supreme Court explained that one of the Fifth Amendment's, quote, basic functions is to protect innocent men who otherwise might be ensnared by ambiguous circumstances, end quote. The record is also clear that persons of the full range of the political spectrum in recent and historical congressional investigations have invoked their Fifth Amendment rights to decline to answer questions from Congress. Any suggestion that such an invocation is itself evidence of wrongdoing would be highly irresponsible and flatly wrong, particularly from those elected to represent the people and uphold the Constitution. For these reasons, Mr. Bernal respectfully declines to answer any of the committee's questions today in today's deposition, and thank you for the opportunity to provide the statement.
I'm entering as Exhibit A an April 1st, 2025 New York Times article titled, Trump-allied prosecutor looks to undermine Biden pardons, which describes a Justice Department investigation that, quote, uses the levers of federal law enforcement to try to harass Mr. Biden's family and allies and undermine his decisions as president while scoring political points with President Trump, end quote. I'm also going to mark as Exhibit B a May 13th, 2025 ABC News article titled Ed Martin, Trump's DOJ pardon attorney, says he'll review Biden's outgoing pardons, which quotes Mr. Barton as saying that if the targets of his investigation, quote, can be charged, we'll charge them. But if they can't be charged, we will name them, and we will name them, end quote. Yep. I'm also going to enter as Exhibit C a May 20th, 2025 Truth Social post by President Trump, in which President Trump describes the use of the Autopen during the Biden administration as, quote, treason at the highest level, end quote, and writes that, quote, something very severe should happen to these treasonous thugs, end quote. I'm also going to ask the court reporter to mark as Exhibit D the majority's letter to Mr. Bernal sent 2 days later. I'm entering as Exhibit E a presidential memorandum dated June 4th, 2025, which, among other things, directs the counsel to the president in consultation with the Attorney General to investigate the allegations that the majority has leveled in this matter. I'm entering as Exhibit F a June 5th, 2025 NBC News story titled, Trump says he doesn't have evidence of any illegal Autopen use by the Biden White House. And I'm entering as Exhibit G a July 13th, 2025 New York Times article titled, Biden says he made the clemency decisions that were recorded with Autopen. And I'm marking as Exhibit H a redacted version of a July 15th, 2025 NBC News article titled, Lead Investigator into Biden's Use of an Autopen Signed Letters with a Digital Signature. This copy has been redacted to remove committee staff names. We're off the record.
Go on the record. Mr. Bernal, considering your invocation of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination pursuant to the terms of the subpoena, you are excused. Go off the record.